Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Dolphins Roundtable, home of the Real Miami Dolphin fans. Make sure to hit that like button on your way in the building, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to get all the latest news right here on Dolphins Roundtable. Now, Miami making bold move. We have released 8-time Pro Bowler Tyreek Hill. Why it might be a genius move? I know Dolphin fans, including myself, really wanted Tyreek to potentially be back on this team, and ultimately, I think he is a big difference maker. Now, John Eric Sullivan, Jeff Hafley, they knew they had to make some big decisions. We already released Bradley Chubb earlier today. Now Tyreek Hill is gone. From a financial standpoint, it hurts us a little bit in terms of Tyreek Hill's contract, not as much as Bradley Chubb, but ultimately it might be a genius decision because the Dolphins have to be a full rebuild at this point. They're going to be tearing this thing down to the studs. They are going to not be as pretty much competitive as people may have expected them to be, but we knew they had to make big decisions. Bradley Chubb was one. Tyreek's another. Tua's probably coming up next year very shortly. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see something later today. But Tyreek Hill, we're going to get right into why this might be a genius move by the Miami Dolphins. For number one, with him being released today, avoid $16 million in bonuses and salary guarantees. That would have happened had he been on the roster by the third day of the new league year. So now that's no longer in play. We're creating $22.8 million in cap space. That's great. Problem is we're incurring $28.2 million in dead money. That's not a good sign, but luckily it's not nearly as much as people would have expected. If we would have kept him past June 1st and we had him as a post-June 1st designation, he still counts toward our top 51, which we have to be under the salary cap with our top 51 by the new league year. And by hanging on to Tyreek Hill with that kind of designation, puts us in a much tougher spot financially. And while it would have been great getting $50 million in cap space, the amount of salary we would have had to give him before that doesn't make sense to do that. So therefore, we made the release now. Now, this was an expected decision. I know a lot of people during the season, as soon as he got hurt, goes, his time in Miami's done. Some people thought he was going to retire. Some thought if he did come back, he's no longer going to be a Dolphin. And ultimately, a lot of people expected that, and that's exactly what happened. It's disappointing, but ultimately he had a good run in Miami for sure. A lot of off-the-field problems, but when he was on the field, he was a really good player despite having a down year last year. Coming off an injury, we talked about that huge injury he suffered in Week 4 against the New York Jets, and the question is going to be at 32 years old. He is older. Is he going to be able to be Tyreek Hill that he was this past year before he got hurt? That's going to be the big question. Not a lot of people know. That's the big unknown. So therefore, if you're Miami, you're releasing him, right? So now it's like, okay, you don't have to worry about, is he going to be the same guy? Is he not going to be? Is he going to retire? This and that. He's off your team now. It's done. It's finished. And when the contract that you made with him, when not only did you give it to him when you traded for him, which was fine, but the extension was ridiculous. And that made it untradeable. Because no one's going to want to trade for that kind of big contract with a guy who's 32 years old coming off a significant knee injury. So no one's going to want to trade for that. So that's another Chris Grier bad decision. These contracts make him untradeable. So therefore, we have to release him. We have to take on dead money just to make this roster somewhat competitive for future success. Because you got to bring in younger talent. You got to build through the draft, bring in some free agents that help your culture, like John Eric Sullivan has said. He's backing up what he's talking about. He's getting rid of the older veterans that while some have made contributions, some haven't. Inquiring dead money now, we know we have to thrive off young players, and that's what we're going to do. And when you look, this is a full rebuild. Everyone expected this to come. Hafley got a 5-year contract for a reason, okay? So you're looking at what John Eric Sullivan was able to do in Green Bay. They built that team into a winner. Years and years of success. You're looking at Hafley. He's been around Green Bay. They're bringing the Packer way to Miami in just a different way. This isn't going to be the Packer way 100 all the way through. Sullivan's going to put his own twist on this. However, looking at the roster itself, this team is not in a chance to win. Not this year. And when we have a tough schedule the way we do, you're going into a full rebuild. We know we're not going to be very good this year. We may not be very good next year. So ultimately, we're in the get rid of the veteran players, incur the dead money now, so that way by next year and the year after when we do have cap space, we're able to fully make a difference. Now, I'm not saying we need to go out and sign all these free agents, but you're able to have a draft class coming up, draft really well, develop them, bring in some free agents that help fit your team a little bit and make them a little more make it better, then bring in more draft picks and keep drafting well. Because when you look at the Dolphins, they haven't drafted well in past years. We've gone after free agents way too much, giving them way too much money. So we have to be very strategic on how we do this. So by releasing Tyreek Hill, in addition to Bradley Chubb, we're getting rid of the veterans, to be honest. A lot of them were older. A lot of them, when you look at Bradley Chubb, didn't contribute. Tyreek Hill contributed, but now coming off the injury, not sure how he's going to do. Big contract, had to get rid of it. So now Tua with the big contract, that's going to be the next domino. But getting rid of Tyreek Hill was a genius spot because from a money standpoint, wasn't going to be able to work with our team. 2, not sure he wanted to be a part of a rebuild. 3, coming off his age and with the injury, not sure if he's going to be the same Tyreek Hill. So when you're looking at this team as an overall, it made sense to release him. Now, it's disappointing that he's no longer on this team after how great success he had when he first came to Miami. But when you look at the down year and the fact with all the off the field, it was becoming a distraction. And the Miami Dolphins don't want a lot of distractions. We want players that are going to go to the grind, make this team better, and don't have all the off the field stuff overtake what's going on the field and in the locker room as an organization. So this is a positive step in the right direction. Now we'll see what Miami does with it with the latest domino. But big move. It's bold, but the Dolphins are making moves this season. We'll be back later for some rest of the Dolphins news. Bigger news come out of Miami. James Daniels is no longer part of the Miami Dolphins. We're going to break that down in the next episode right here on Dolphins Roundtable. Make sure to stay around, like the video, subscribe, so that we get all the latest updates right here on Dolphins Roundtable. And James Daniels' video will be coming out here very shortly. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.